players in the Rule 5 draft tonight, but Rivendell managed to snag a couple of pitchers. Minas Ithil got an outfielder and a pitcher, and Minas Tirith and the Dragons also grabbed some players. Let's take a look at who they got. Rivendell got the first pick in round 1. They grabbed Gareth of Mirkwood from Laketown. Gareth of Mirkwood is listed as a starting pitcher, mostly because of his stamina. He can pitch for a long time. He's toiled in the minor leagues since 2028, when he was picked up from Laketown as a round 5 rookie pick. The scouting ratings on him show that he's got good stuff, and he's got pretty good control. He needs to work on his movement, and they're saying that he needs another pitch. Right now, he's basically got 4 pitches, which would seem to be pretty good. It'll be a little while to find out whether or not he's going to last very long, having to be on the active roster all this year, or he may have to be given back to Laketown. Another player that was picked up by the Minas Tirith Titans in round 1 was Clarence Took, an outfielder. This Hobbit was a round 1 pick, top pick by Weathertop in 2026, but he's been in the minors for the last 5 years. He's more than ready, I think, to make it into the majors. The problem is he's got a lot of potential. His overall rating just hasn't really gone anywhere. His outfield ratings, his fielding ratings aren't great, but he's got super speed. He can steal a lot of bases. He stole 47 bases in 120 games in his 3rd year in Single A at Minas Tirith's Single A squad. The biggest question with Took is going to be, at 24 years old and not even having been in Triple A since 2029, and even then only part of the year, he's going straight basically from Double A to the majors. Is he going to last? How is he going to last for an entire year on the active roster for the Titans? Dulguldur picked up Nelly Orkkiller, a starting pitcher, or listed as a starting pitcher, from Bywater. Orkkiller is a pitcher who's got basically a cutter, a slider, and a splitter. He's 26 years old, so he's probably ready to at least show up in the major leagues, although he's not pitched a day in the majors yet. He was a round 3 pick by Bywater back in 2024, so he's had a good long seasoning down in the minor leagues. How old is he? He is 26, so I think he's ready to show some stuff for the Dragons. Not necessarily expecting a ton out of him, but at least he looks like he's more ready than some of these players that have been picked. Minas Ithil grabbed Kumsh Legmasher in the 1st round. If I spell it right. Legmasher is an outfielder who, again, has a lot of speed, not a lot of fielding, although he does a right in right field, and he's got a gun for an arm. He's got a little bit of homer power, but he hasn't even made it to Triple A yet, so his highest level so far has been Double A, where he spent last year on the Double A farm club of the Devils. So it's going to be an uphill battle for this 22-year-old to be on the Worms active roster for the entire season. And then in round 2, the Royals grabbed another pitcher, Sosin Irathian. Sosin Irathian is 25 and has pitched a couple of years in AAA. He looks like he might be a good long reliever for the Royals, whose not just their bullpen, their entire pitching staff needs a lot of help. It's a long winter, and they could pick up some free agents along the way or make some good trades, but as of right now, they're tossing Irathian and Gareth of Mirkwood right straight into the rotation, so it might be a tough year for the Royals, who also need a GM, by the way. And then finally, the Worms grabbed Blanco Dapp, who was a relief pitcher. Dapp came from the Weathertop Witch Kings, where he was picked as a round 15 pick back in 2027. Dapp is 26 years old, so he's also probably ready to pitch in the majors, even though he's only spent 1 year in AAA. But he's got a really hot fastball. He's got stuff with a potential upwards of 127, 128. So, other than the fact that he's only got the 2 pitches, fastball and slider, he should be racking up a lot of strikeouts and looks like he might be a good closer at some point. Probably not this year for the Worms, probably more likely a setup guy, or maybe somebody in some short relief situations, but he's definitely got a fastball, that's for sure. Other news that happened this week, we had Mirkwood picking up some extensions on some players. They signed one of their pitchers, one of their hot prospect pitchers, Eimer Eladriwin, for $4 million a year for, $5.5 million a year for the next 3 years. And so it's a $16.5 million deal for Chump Eladrian, but he looks like he's going to be a top-flight pitcher for a while. He's got a really good sinker, a really good changeup, a really good slider. He's already got a 74 overall rating, not even up to his potential yet. If nothing else, he's going to be great in the bullpen for the Marauders, but I think they're probably going to wind up putting him in the rotation. They also signed Jesus Barnwell, who's been a key for their outfield for a long time, and they signed him to a 9-year deal, so they're going to keep the Voluptuous around for a long time. $17 million a year for the next 9 years for Jesus Barnwell. 3-time All-Star. He started out in the SFL. They picked him up in a trade with the Narnia Badgers back in 2029, and Barnwell has been a cornerstone of the Mirkwood outfield ever since. He was Rookie of the Month. He's got a Best Fielder award in the SFL. In the SGCBL, he's already been an All-Star. He was Hobbit Series MVP last year in the playoffs. Actually, this year, at the end of this year in the playoffs. So they're looking to hold on to Barnwell for the long term. Carrick also signed a new manager, Longo Banks, to a 4-year deal. So Carrick is looking to get somebody in the dugout who's going to try to get this ship going. Carrick had high hopes at the beginning of the year to try to make it into the playoffs for the first time ever, and they looked like they might do it for a while, but they fell back somewhere in the middle of the season and were never quite able to recover. So they're looking to the former Laketown Archers manager, Longo Banks, to go ahead and try to right the ship and pilot them into their first playoffs. Rivendell also signed a new bench coach, Todd Grilgal, to a 2-year contract. He was bench coach for Isengard last year. And Grey Haven's got a free agent. They picked up Lore Sandslinger, an outfielder. Pretty good, decent outfielder. Not a spectacular hitter, although he did pretty good down in AAA last year. He's just not really cracked the majors in the last couple of years. I don't know if that's by injury or what. He was with Erebor for a long time. Pretty solid outfielder for Erebor. Let's look at his injury history and see if maybe that's part of the problem. Oh, yeah. He's got lots of day-to-day injuries, lots of little dings here and there. That's probably the reason he hasn't played a super ton in the majors in the last couple of years. But still, he should help out Gray Havens in the outfield, and it looks like they got him for fairly cheap, a couple $1 million a year. Also, there were a couple of trades that happened earlier last week. Minas Tirith traded a 20-year-old left fielder, Ban Gree, and paid $502,000 in cash to Rivendell to grab their 32-year-old minor league reliever, Tiny Elias the Giant Eater, and a 20-year-old minor league closer, Rizrat the Atrocious. Not really a lot to say about that deal. It looks like it's just a pretty straightforward swap. Nothing spectacular. Nobody really got taken to the cleaners on that. It's also time for Hall of Fame voting to start. So if we look at the Hall of Fame voting, there's 37 players on the ballot this year, including first-timers Scarlett Mawan III, finally making it to the Hall of Fame after her years and years of service. She's pretty much a shoo-in first ballot Hall of Famer. 5 Sam Gamgee batters, 3 Legolas Fielder awards, 11-time All-Star. But also on the ballot for the first time is Thorin Oakenshield Jr., the former creative player for Minas Tirith. Also, Mablung the Venerable Vinianar, who retired at the beginning of the year when the new general manager took over and had a new creative player made for the Marauders. Mablung, with his career numbers, also should be making it into the Hall of Fame fairly easily. Also, first ballot is Rayber Scarecrow Bolger, pitcher for Bree for a long time. Not super great numbers for Bolger. Probably not going to make it. Definitely not going to make it first ballot. If we look at the history of the Hall of Fame voting from last year, the second place person was Orgulus Black. He got 68.6% of the vote. With Scarlett coming in and with Vinianar, and it's probably not likely that Black is going to raise that total up enough to make it into the Hall of Fame this year, but stranger things have happened, so that could happen as well. Next time, we're going to get to the winter meetings, which is where the AI takes over and does a lot of roster moves and trades and things like that. So that'll be a good time for you to get your free agent bids in and also be on the lookout for any trades, especially with the SFL. And that's pretty much it. If you know of anybody who wants a team, we're still looking for GMs for Minas Tirith and Rivendell and Lake Town and Buckleberry. And Papa Bear said he's currently running Ravenhill and Buckleberry as a side. He said he would gladly take over and start running Buckleberry as his primary team if somebody wanted Ravenhill as well. So if there's anybody out there that wants to be a GM of any of those teams, give us a buzz. That's it for this week. We'll look at next week on Thursday night. Thank you.